Whoops, that didn't work. New devices, always fun. Okay, let's go ahead and take a comfortable seat. And I'm not sure why I have this little tickle in my throat this morning, but I apologize if there's some coughing. I do have a cough drop and some water going on, so we'll see if we can put a stop to a little bit of that. But as you take a comfortable seat, shift a little, move, and adjust in any way that makes it more comfortable for you. And then as you let your hands rest down, and as you let your eyes close, begin to let yourself focus on that movement of breath. Notice those first couple of breaths. Sometimes when you start to bring your focus to it, and those first couple are kind of the ones that help you start to regulate. And so they might feel a little bit choppy. But then purposely focus on allowing your breath to even out. And even more so, think about the top of the inhale and the bottom of the exhale becoming a little bit more smooth. A little soft at that transition. And then start to add a little depth to the breath. Focusing more on letting the exhale grow longer. And allowing the inhale to naturally be the length that it is. Start to find that count of the natural inhale. And it might shift after a few breaths, but maybe a 4 or a 5, whatever that count is for you. And then make your exhale 2 or 3 counts longer than your inhale. Inhale for your natural count. And exhale to that slightly longer depth. As you take about 5 more breaths here, you can just notice without trying to make it happen, if your inhales naturally become a little longer. Let's take one more breath this way. Then releasing that focus on the breath and simply let a natural breath happen. Bring hands to connect at heart center. And as you take another inhale, sit taller. On your exhale, bow toward your heart, letting this be an honoring of yourself for taking this time. And now, softly opening your eyes, release your hands down, and then give a couple rolls back of your shoulders. And a little movement slowly side to side with your head. Letting that movement be your opportunity to check out the different spaces through your neck, tops of your shoulders, maybe the front of your chest. And now as you come back into center, shoulders are up and back, tuck your chin gently down. Give little gentle nods toward the ground. Little gentle shakes of your head toward the ground. Then lift up with your chin, lengthening the muscles through the front of your neck, and take a big breath. Then back into center now. Hands to the floor behind you. Press down and lift up and open through your chest. Little tiny back bend here, not a big one. Just enough to find that expansion through the ribs and the collarbones. Lengthen the back of your neck. And then from right here again, tuck your chin down. Squeeze your shoulder blades a little bit toward each other. And then lift your chin up. And then back into center. Shake your head no. And then all the way back upright, walk your hands out towards your knees. And with your hands at your knees, draw your right shoulder forward, your left shoulder back, starting to take this little twist. And as you inhale, lengthen through your spine. As you exhale, low ribs draw in to help you twist. Inhale, lengthen one more time. And exhale, let your ribs draw in to help you twist just a tiny bit more. Inhale, come back into center. And exhale, taking that twist to the right side with your left shoulder forward. Inhale, longer through both sides. Exhale, low ribs draw in to help you twist a tiny bit more. Full inhale, more space. Exhale, twist a tiny bit. Inhale, come back into center. And then gentle movement, little cat and cow here. Inhale, belly and heart forward. Exhale, press the spine back. Just one more full deep inhale and exhale. Then inhale, sit tall, switch the cross of your legs, coming to the less comfortable cross for yourself. Shift your sitting bones, add whatever props you need to make knees feel more comfortable. And then hands right up at your hip creases and press. And as you press, lift up through your sides, make space between hip and armpit. Draw shoulder blades onto your back. And from this place, bring hands behind the back of your head to clasp. As you clasp behind your head, press your head back in space, open elbows up, and draw shoulder blades on your back. And now as you lift up with your chest, pressing your head back, also do just a little engagement through your core. And now we're going to stay this open with our elbows, with our chest lifting, our head moving back, and do little twists from our ribs. So as you exhale, twist to the left side from your ribs. Inhale, come back into center. Exhale, twist to the right side from your ribs. Inhale, come back to center. And we'll do one more on each side. Exhaling to twist. Inhaling to come back to center. As you take that last one and come back to center, pause in the center and lift up just a little higher with your ribs, your heart, your chest. And then release your hands down. And again, give those rolls back through your shoulders. Check in with them. And now take arms wide out to the side. Reach through fingertips. Plug in with shoulder blades. And then let's take movement with breath in hugs. So exhale, wrap one arm over the other to hug. Inhale, open it up. Exhale, switch. And keep going with your breath. As you move with your breath, each time you reach for your shoulders, walk fingertips a little more towards shoulder blades. One more on each side. And now go ahead and release arms down, shoulders roll back. And then let's take hands in front to clasp, pull forward with your arms, round back through your spine, your chin tucks in towards your chest. And then add movement here. Side to side sway of shoulders, maybe a little turning here of your head. Then inhale, sit tall, releasing your hands. And then bring feet out in front of you for a moment, just uncrossing your legs, a little break from that cross-legged sitting position. Feet in front a little ways to take them a comfortable distance away, hands to the top or below your knees, whichever feels the best. Then inhale, sit tall, exhale, gentle press back. One more time, full inhale, sit tall, and exhale, press back. Then inhale as you sit tall this time, wrap right arm around the front of your knees, left fingertips come to the floor beside or behind your hip, whichever feels best. Lift up through your sides, and then think of tilting your pelvis towards your legs. Your belly moves forward. Exhale, ribs draw in to help you twist, trying to take that twist mostly from your ribs and up. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, ribs in. Inhale, come back into center, and then cross left arm around the front of your knees, right fingertips beside or behind your hip. Press down and lift up taller. Again, belly forward, pelvis tilts. Exhale, ribs in to help you twist. Full inhale, long, deep exhale. One more breath. Good. Inhale, come back into center. And now we'll start a little work through hips and hamstrings. So create a base for yourself with your left leg. And we're picking the right leg up here. So you can hold on with both hands on the knee and the foot, or you can use your right hand behind you and just hold the foot. Give a flex, find lots of lift through your spine, and then rock side to side. As you rock side to side, you can sense for yourself if there's a lot of movement through the pelvis as well to make this happen, or if it's just through the leg. No right or wrong answer, just information for maybe what might be a little bit tense or stuck. And now we're going to take a hold of shin or outside of foot, whichever feels the best, and turn your foot forward, knee toward the wall behind you. So this is our half happy baby pose variation here. Left fingertips become your support and find lots of lift and length through your spine. And if holding onto your foot or your leg here is uncomfortable, a strap around the foot is always an option too. So from this place, we're going to do a little moving. So inhale, extend your leg as long and as straight as your body is ready for. Give a flex. Exhale, bend your knee, drawing it toward the wall behind you. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, bend. And keep going with your breath for a few rounds. And take it slow with the breath, slow with the movement, so that you can sense where it is that you might be feeling some sensation. And now this time, hold in that hamstring stretch, long leg here. And if you have some tension, which is, I would think, most of the world, then a little bend or a big bend here. Reach through the heel, lengthen your spine, take a big breath. And then bend your knee. Press your knee back toward the wall behind you at the same time as pressing through your foot or your leg into your hand, so a little resistance. And then go ahead and set your leg down, and we're going to switch sides. Create the base with your right leg. And left leg, pick it up. And again, you're either holding on with both hands, or your left hand can become your support. But flex your foot, sit tall, and begin to rock. And then notice for yourself, I know on one side for me, there's a little more movement that is kind of independent, not independent, but more movement through the leg itself rather than through the pelvis. And on the other side, there's more movement through the pelvis. You can just get a little sense for yourself what that is, what it is you have for a puzzle to work with. Okay, so now holding on to shin or outside of foot, wherever that is. Again, a strap around the foot is always an option here. Foot aimed forward, knee toward the wall behind you. Right fingertips are your support here. Lift up tall. And then begin to move. Inhale to extend into that hamstring stretch. Exhale to bend. Inhale to extend. And exhale to bend. And as you take this a few more times, it's that opportunity to notice differences, to notice where sensations are, and just to give yourself that information, awareness of what's happening in your body right now, here, today. Okay, one more. And then hold the hamstring stretch for a moment. Flex your foot, reach through your heel, lengthen your spine. Good. And then bend your knee. And again, press back with your hand, or I should say, pull back with hand, press into your foot, or into your hand with your foot. Boy, that was some good direction. Resist, push and pull. And as you do so, sit taller. Good, okay, go ahead and release your foot down. And now, I'm gonna sit all the way down onto the ground, you don't have to, but we're gonna do one more hamstring stretch before we stand up. So I'm gonna take a block out in front of me, and I'm gonna put my heels up on it with a little bend to my knees, and it might be a big bend, but sometimes with your heels a little bit lifted, this enables the pelvis to move a little bit more. So move sitting bones back and broad, and then push your heels down. And then isometrically draw them back. At the same time, see if you can get your pelvis to tilt a little bit more towards your legs, your belly towards your legs. Inhale, sit tall. Exhale, fold towards your feet as far as your body is ready for. And that might mean holding on to shins or hands at the ground, might mean staying upright. All those options are there for you. Take a big inhale, tilt your belly more towards your legs. Big exhale. Maybe you fold, maybe you stay right where you are, but find that full breath. Okay, and inhale, sit all the way upright and release your feet back down. Let's take one more just hip opener here before we come to stand. Feet together into your butterfly, opening up through the insides of your thighs. And as you take this, you're welcome to add props underneath your knees here. Sometimes this is a tough knee pose, but engaging your feet also sometimes helps with that. So think of lifting and spreading your toes away from each other. As you tilt your belly forward and sit tall, reach through the quad muscles, the inner thigh muscles, out toward the walls on either side of you. Take a full, big, deep breath. And now we're going to shift onto hands and knees, and then come all the way to the front of our mats into a forward fold. And if you're dying for a downward facing dog, you can always take that here. But find your way forward into your forward fold, and whatever you're using for props, bring feet inner hip distance apart and parallel. You can always take them wider here if that feels better on low back, hips, or hamstrings. Inhale and lengthen part way. Exhale and fold. Hands to hips. Press back on hips and then lift up with shoulders and elbows to rise all the way up to stand. And just take a moment in your mountain pose to reset yourself. And then reach through fingertips. Lift up and open through your shoulders. Little ear to shoulder, little check in there. Good. Okay, so now we're going to find our props. I'm going to turn sideways, so hopefully you'll have a little bit more of a visual. But I'm going to stack my props so I have something high to bring my hands to. But then I'm also going to bring my block over to the side. So I'm going to put, actually, I'll put my left foot up first so you can see. So I'm moving my block over to the right side to make space for my left foot. And with this on your mat, that's usually easier to keep it in place so it doesn't slide around if you do have it on hardwood floor or something. So left foot, the front of your foot, is going to come up to your block. Toes lift, heels are on the ground. And sometimes it's a little easier if you have lower blocks. The big blue blocks are sometimes a little more intense and more challenging. So with the right foot, you're turning your toes as much forward as it's comfortable. Sometimes that's intense. And then the other part of that is if you need to back your right foot up a little bit to make it more comfortable, you can. So as you find this for yourself, you get to sense, is your nervous system cinching up so much that you can't relax anything in your body? So separate your feet more if you need to. Bring your foot a little lower if you need to, which might be where I go eventually. So as you bring your hands to your hips, take a big breath and just notice the slight unevenness of the hips. And then think about moving both sets of inner thighs back. Sitting bones a little bit back, a little bend to your right knee as you push hips back, heart forward, and start to fold. And bring your hands down to your block. Your left leg is as straight as possible. Your right leg has that little bend to it because, as we know with a lot of our hamstring stretches, that sometimes enables us to tilt our pelvis. So now, sitting bones lift. Extend your heart further forward. Take a big, full, deep breath and recognize for yourself what the stretch is, where it is. Is there some intensity? Is there some tensing up of the nervous system? And then can you adjust it enough and use your breath to soothe? Take 2 more really big breaths right here, sending both sitting bones just a little tiny bit more upward. And then I like to give a good bend to my right knee, squeeze your glutes to rise all the way back up. And then both feet to the ground. Give a little shake here. Hamstrings, boy, oh boy, they're a tough set of muscles. So now I'm going to move my block over to the left side so that I have space for my right foot. And then right foot, toes lift, ball of your foot is up off the ground, heel is on the ground. This is a big flex, right? So if there's a little bit of resistance in that flex, that's some information about what's going on for you through your ankle as well. So left foot, you might need to bump it back a little ways. You might be good with having it almost forward. Find where it is that your system can chill out a little bit, okay? And then with your hands at your hips, again, recognize that unevenness. There is some here. And then give a little bend to your left knee as you start to push hips back, extend your heart forward, and work your hands down to whatever you're using. As you take a big, deep breath right here, again, you get to recognize what sort of holding on is happening. Is your nervous system cinching up, that fight, flight, freeze reaction here? Or can you use your breath to calm? Maybe do a little more shift of the distance of your feet. Maybe a little shift of the lift of your foot. But now sitting bones lift, extend your heart further forward, take a deeper breath. One more big breath here. Excuse me, goodness. And then that bend to your left knee, squeeze to your glute to rise all the way back up. And then both feet to the ground. Feet are inner hip distance apart and parallel. And for a moment, simply notice, hopefully a little bit more evenness there. Good, okay, inhale, stretch up overhead. Exhale, a little softness to your knees to fold. Inhale, lengthen part way. Exhale and fold. And then plant hands, you're stepping all the way back to hands and knees. And then let's take a child's pose, your favorite version, whatever that looks like for you, which could include a bolster underneath your torso. And as you find that, take a couple big breaths and let your head settle. And now gently push yourself back upright. And we're going to come all the way down to sitting bones. And we're going to take a spinal twist. It's one of my favorites. We've done it a few times lately. Part of this twist has to do with that hero pose leg variation. So if it's comfortable for your knees, and if it's not, I want you to really tune into that. But if it's comfortable for your knees, then your left leg is going to bend back, so that your toes are back by your hip, your heel is back by your hip, okay? If that's not comfortable, then the same twist can happen with your leg out in front of you, okay? So you choose which one is the right one for you. And then your right foot comes into the inner thigh. And from this place, move both sitting bones and press down with fingertips, lift your ribs. As you lift your ribs, start to turn your ribs toward your right knee. And as you turn toward your right knee, your left hip gets to start to lift. Reach your left hand across to your knee or your thigh, whichever feels the best, and start to lengthen even more. And as you lift through your ribs, through your heart space, sometimes this can be a little bit of tension on the low back as your hips lift, so give a little engagement through the low belly. Inhale, higher through the heart. Exhale, ribs in to help the twist. As you twist, it's been a little while since I've talked about how far the head goes. I want to think about the head turning at the same rate as the rest of your spine. So we're not trying to look behind us. Instead, often it's that halfway point on that collarbone where your chin will go. So find that place for yourself. And sometimes, again, that's hard to tell without somebody looking at you. So get a sense for a natural place for that turn of the head. One more big breath, lengthening the back of the neck. And then inhale all the way back into center and gently bring your left leg back out in front of you if it's bent back. And then we're going to make that bend with our right leg. Right knee bends if you want, or leg out straight. And then left foot into the thigh. And then move, sitting bones back and broad. Press down with fingertips, lift up with your heart. And then as you begin to take that twist from your ribs to the left side, start to let your right hip lift. Reaching across here if you would like with your right hand. Press down with fingertips behind you and find even more lift, even more length. Exhale, ribs in to help you twist just a little bit more. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale as your ribs draw in, also engage a little through the low belly. Full couple of breaths. Find that distance or that amount of turn for your head that isn't trying to look over your shoulder, but is trying to move at the same rate as the rest of your spine. Inhale, come back into center. And both legs out in front. And then go ahead and find your blanket and find that roll for yourself so we can use it to wrap around our feet. And then feet come together into that diamond shape. Wrap blanket over the top of your feet and underneath your legs. And then find your bolster and set the bolster in between your legs, over your feet. Blocks can always be added underneath the legs for more support for the knees here, or you can use them as props. Take an inhale and lengthen, props for under your head. Exhale and fold. And find where your head can rest comfortably. Thinking of that third eye place as being able to rest and settle. The third eye is often that place that can help us reach the nervous system and enable it to calm. We bring your awareness to your third eye for a moment and to a soft but full breath. Notice if you're able to let go a little bit. And if you're not, if you have some tension holding on, then try to adjust to where that tension can release a little. As you take your next few breaths here, notice if you're able to shift and adjust a little bit more to help a little more settling happen. And now inhale, gently bring yourself all the way back upright. And we're setting the bolster aside, bringing our knees back up to center and set the blanket aside. And you can set that close to your head if you'd like it for underneath your neck in Shavasana, or you can just have it ready for you to set over you. And then as you come all the way down onto your back now, set yourself up with feet on the ground, knees are bent. And just take a moment here to notice your pelvis. And do a little bit of movement here for your pelvis. So think of tilting forward and back, Maybe a little side to side movement, a little pivot. Let's check in with what's happening through your hips. And then take your hands to your upper thighs at your hip creases and give a push, like you're trying to push your thighs away. And from that, allow whatever natural movement of the pelvis to happen. So sometimes that means that it tilts a little bit. And then take a deep breath into your low back muscles. Even if that means that you need to purposely press them into the ground as you inhale, and then allow them to release as you exhale. Go ahead and find that for a couple of breaths. If you've found that you're able to just use your breath to inhale and expand them, and exhale, release them, then notice what that feels like for you. Okay, so release your hands from your thighs and draw your right knee in toward your chest. Clasp behind your right thigh and begin to press hamstrings into your hands. So push forward into your hands with your leg. Reach through your heel. Lengthen your left leg all the way out against the ground if you would like. You don't have to. And then from this place, take a couple big breaths and push your outer thigh on your right leg a little bit more toward the foot of your mat so that the entire leg rotates a little bit in the hip socket. You'll see your toes turn a little to the right. And then from your left leg, flex your foot. Rotate your inner thigh down so your toes turn more upright. And then pull in with your heel. Heel to hip socket. Take a big breath here, noticing the low back. Noticing maybe a little more evening of the hips. And now just slightly take your leg across your body to the left side. Just a tiny bit, so your hip is still planted on the ground. Reach through your heel and down through your hip. And then bring your leg back up to center, bend your knee. Take a hold of your knee with your right, or with your left hand rather, and draw your leg across your body into the spinal twist. Your right foot might rest right against your leg. You might find a prop to set underneath your knee. Lots of options here to make this more comfortable. So as you find what that is for you, maybe shift your shoulders over a few inches in the direction of the twist. Maybe set your left hand on the outside of your right thigh. If your right shoulder is down, feel free to open your arm up to the right side and gaze to the right. If your shoulder isn't down, maybe keep your hand right at your hip or at your low back. Take one more full breath right here. Then inhale, coming back up to center, and just give a little hug inward with your knee. And then release your foot back to the ground and draw your left knee in. Clasp behind the back side of your leg and begin to lengthen your left leg. And then as you lengthen your left leg, you're welcome to extend your right leg all the way out as well if you would like. It's not a requirement. You can do both of these two stretches with your leg, with your knee bent. So now wrap your left hip forward, thinking of moving your thigh forward on the left leg so that your toes turn a little bit to the left side. As you flex both feet, Notice your right foot now and rotate your inner thigh down so much that your toes start to turn more upright. And then draw in from your heel to your hip socket. And take a big breath into your low back. And now just slightly take your leg across your body to the right side, reaching through your heel and down through your hip. Full big breath, allowing that little bit of stretch or big stretch through the outside edge of your leg. And now back into center, bend your knee. And then we're drawing your knee across our body to the right side. And again, your foot is welcome just to rest right against your leg if that's comfortable. Or feel free to find a prop that feels good underneath your knee. Find what works for you in your body. I know I like to adjust my shoulders here and shift them over in the direction of the twist. As you find that place that's the most comfortable, if your left shoulder is all the way down, then maybe find that opening. Maybe extend or turn your gaze or both. If it's not all the way down, then sometimes just resting your hand on your hip or torso is a more gentle thing for your rotator cuff. Big, full, deep breath here, as full as the twist enables. Take 3 more full breaths. And now coming back into center here, hug your knee in, just give a little squeeze. And then set both feet down on the ground. And with both feet down, drop knees in together to touch. And then take our arms out to a cactus or a T, giving a little focus here to the chest, the shoulders, the upper back. And then inch your shoulder blades a little closer together. You can close your eyes here if that's comfortable and take a couple big breaths, focusing your breath into the front and the back of the heart space for a moment. Add some turning of the head. Maybe some nodding of the head. And then as you come back into center, you're going to start to set yourself up into your most comfortable resting pose, starting to find your Shavasana. And if it would feel good to you, you can take your rolled up blanket underneath the neck for a little support, bolster under the legs if you want, but take the time to work into a comfortable rest. As you come to that comfortable rest, give yourself those first 3 breaths or so to shift and adjust. And then give yourself permission to let go of movement. Come to some stillness. Begin to take a deeper breath. Add a little gentle movement into your fingers and toes. As you're ready to bend your knees and roll over to one side and pause for a moment with your breath. Then slowly, gently bring yourself back upright using as little strength as you can. And then set yourself up in a comfortable place so that we can sit for a few moments in a meditation. And I'm going to switch to something a little higher. That tends to be my tendency in meditation. Make yourself comfortable. And then as you rest your hands down, you're welcome to close your eyes for a moment, but we're going to do a little bit of a sense exercise, which will involve opening our eyes. So as you take a couple of breaths here, come back to that long, slow breath. Letting your inhales be a little bit more natural and your exhales have a little bit more emphasis. With your next couple of breaths, sit even taller. Even think of moving shoulder blades onto your back and lengthening the back of your neck. Natural inhale. Long, slow exhale. And then if your eyes are closed, softly open them. And for your next couple of breaths, or I should say probably about 5 or 6 breaths, notice 5 things that you can see. It can include a detail. For example, I see the grain of my wood floor. That type of thing. So 5 things that you see around you. You can let your eyes wander to find those things. Keep allowing your breath to be that slow, long, full breath. And now you can close your eyes if you would like to and start to notice 4 things that you can feel. You can even move your hands around to different things or notice what's touching your skin. Whatever that happens to be. Maybe it's fingers touching the texture of your yoga mat. 4 things. And now notice 3 things that you can hear. That can be inside your house or outside your house. It can even be your own breath. And now notice 2 things that you can smell. And now one thing that you can taste. And now bring hands to connect at heart center. Recognizing yourself right here, right now, in this present moment. Take a full breath. Have a very peaceful, beautiful rest of your day. Have a wonderful weekend. Namaste. Softly open your eyes. And as you lift your gaze, before you shift to getting up and moving, take a moment to notice around